I think I just view the last 30 years of developments, at least commencing from early 80s, the management systems, and then later on looking at Six Sigma for point optimization, and then subsequently Lean, and now we are trying to marry Lean and Six Sigma. The innovation, as I understand, is the integral part of any business development. Whether we use Lean or Six Sigma, innovation, again the definition of innovation varies from two perspectives. Japanese say innovation is a small incremental improvement continually happening. Probably from the West we feel innovation is a breakthrough improvement. So it depends on what perspective we look at it. I personally feel innovation is something has to be there as long as our business goals are the target.
Started to hit the market. Apple was not really relevant. Yet today, here Apple sits with innovation and capturing the market and just making it almost impossible for people to enter the tablet, computer, and the phone market, right? They not only did it with new ideas and features and things that people didn't even know they needed, but they brought it to the market in a way that they were wildly successful. And they changed how we think about just living our lives every day, right? They've influenced that, right? Today, and many people, if you told them I'm going to take your iPhone, they would be lost. So that drives innovation in the market space. But behind that, when businesses do that, you have to think about what's the process they go through to innovate. It really wasn't Steve Jobs locked in a room by himself thinking these things up. There was teams of people taking concepts and ideas and in a structured way creating the what and the how behind the idea. And that's where I think you can start to connect Lean Sigma, that it helps. It's not that it's different from innovation, it can help drive it. It can help drive the idea into reality. It can help.
Steel background, and I think all of you all see steel someplace or the other. But the way steel has developed over the last 15, 20 years is phenomenal. There are new products coming in, and this can only come through innovation. All of us are driving vehicles, cars, refrigerators. Behind that, the steel which goes in has got a lot of changes which is happening. And this needs innovation. Having said that, Six Sigma, I was just discussing with Naresh a few moments ago. For me, innovation and Six Sigma go together. You have innovation coming in, and to reach a particular goal, a particular target, you need to have Six Sigma. And this can follow with the removal of wastages, new product development.
Completely outshadowing me. So if I have to stand out in the crowd, innovation is an absolute necessity. As pointed out by other speakers out here, Lean and Six Sigma coming together is not without innovation, it's definitely there. The moment you start measuring the output of a process in terms of its variability and using some kind of a technique to link that back to your design as well as the planning that you put into it, you have started using statistics already. Innovation by itself is supposed to be about, say, the desirable state that you want to reach, the feasibility associated with it.
From marriage versus. Now, Bill has introduced another spin. I don't know whether it was the money balls or the ball spinning is what he's talked about. But he mentioned Apple. And if I understand correctly, Apple says anything but Lean Six Sigma. We want to do innovation. When you go to Toyota, I'm not saying that the worlds have not changed. When you talk about Toyota, Toyota says Toyota production system or Lean is the way. And if you were to start about GE, when they started off, they said Six Sigma or otherwise you don't know what it is. I'm totally lost. Help me, is innovation better, Lean better, Six Sigma better, or is it all the same? I mean, help me and I am sure help others also, right?
I think it is something like asking whether I need to do more exercise for my biceps or some other part of my body. I think there is no competition between innovation and continuous improvement. Primarily what we are looking at as Six Sigma came from Motorola primarily to improve their competitiveness because of poor quality. Over the years, all of us are mentally obsessed that process improvement is the only part of excellence. So as Edward Deming has rightly said that we are moving from business quality to quality of business. So the whole discussions today morning was centering around, as Naresh started, the paradigm shift that is no longer a process excellence we are talking about. We are talking about the business excellence that is going to support. So whether it is Apple or whether it is Sony or anyone who have leveraged on innovation for a short while, sustaining requires the process excellence. As Narayanan once said, there are three roles in any business, primarily the Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh. So the Brahma is the creator. Basically there are people who have to continue to create. So DFSS, although it is there since the last 20 years, it has not taken as much of attention as probably DMIC has taken. So the Vishnu's role is continue to deliver on time. There are many discussions today that if you deliver on time, your prosperity improves. So the Mahesh role is coming from either the customer is going to play the role of a Mahesh, or probably the industry themselves can play the role of a Mahesh, continuously challenging our own mindset and status quo. So I only see overall aspects rather than saying which is good and which is bad.
The direction of the group by saying that there is innovation happening everywhere, something which is extremely breakthrough, something which has not been tried ever. It could be in the process. We are not here to invent new products. And I'll address to, I have my own answer for Naresh's point on Apple, but let me continue this. So, one of our lead black belts went to a fertilizer plant, and this is in a very remote place in Rajasthan, a place called Kapasa. And we manufacture this fertilizer which is cured out in the sun for 21 days. And this is the process everywhere across the world to manufacture single superphosphate, the fertilizer. Our lead black belt, who is not from this background, goes there and says, oh God, your material is waiting for 21 days. It's all non-value adding. So he calls me up and says, well,
But they figured it out. But the innovation was, we can go off the same platform. We don't need to actually reinvent a whole new piece of equipment. So I think for organizations, you have to think about what innovation means. And I don't think that if you think about what Lean Sigma is, it's a methodology. It's an approach that leverages several hundred tools that are all, how old are Lean Sigma tools? Most of them are older than all of us. Most of them are 60 and 70 years old. Right? I mean, Deming, some of Six Sigma was founded on work that Deming and Duran did back in the 40s and 50s. This is not new. How do we find a way to apply the methodology that enables the innovation, enables people to see the problem in a different way to get results?
For me, Lean, Six Sigma, innovation are equally important in the organization. And to give you an idea, I'd like to cite some examples, at least one of them in each of these topics. Say, Lean in a steel mill, for example, to give you, we can produce a coil in 3 to 4 hours. But normally you see deliveries which are like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. And none of our customers are happy about it. Now to focus on the delivery lead periods, you really need to work on Lean stepwise, process-wise, and then reduce the delivery times. Even if you reduce by 3 days or 2 days out of these 3 weeks, you can make enormous savings in inventories. Steel company is loaded with inventories, and the inventory is really costly. So you need to work on Lean in this method. For Six Sigma, for example, energy costs in steel mills are very huge. So J-wise, you need to optimize your process, MTBFs, and things like that, and you reduce the delay times, and finally you can improve on that and get Six Sigma done. On innovation, today motors need very high efficiency steel, and the starting currents of the motors is very important. And in our company, we started doing innovations on how to reduce the starting currents, and we improved on this process parameters and improved on that on the product.
I would just like you to take a moment and go back to the e-commerce days when we talked about eliminating middlemen and getting across to the market. No doubt, in many of the examples, we managed to reduce interaction costs because we were able to interact through electronic channels. Your Toyota's production system is also pretty similar. A Kanban card is a method by which you create interaction within the organization, the pull and push of it. So what these kinds of systems can possibly do is actually bring down your costs, definitely. But the issue is, can it really alter your cost structure? Can it knock off a cost element of your cost structure so that you don't have to pass that back to the consumer? That's the question that we really need to ask ourselves. And innovation is capable of doing.
Bhushan mentioned the invention part. Can that be systematized? Or is it that benzene structure can be only thought about in dreams? Or is it possible to do something about it? So there is no second doubt about the point that there is a significant amount of creativity. There's a significant amount of what you call domain knowledge, the combinations of which not normally and sometimes cannot be directly kind of worked out and structured. But there have been strong efforts in trying to create structures around that. And I'm going to talk about some of the small but well-known.
Then often people ask a question, can you put a process for envisioning or strategizing? The answer is that there are certain things which are not coming under the scope of developing a process. We want to achieve repeatable excellence. That is essentially is the aspect that we look at on process standardization and improvements and so on. But there are certain aspects like leadership, for example. I cannot write a process for leadership and repeatable excellence cannot be created. So innovation is one such aspect. The companies which are very strongly focused on innovation have disappeared. Companies which are focused too much on process, for example, most of the innovations are coming from the West, but the motor car manufacturing is perfected from Japan. So if you really look at it, to the extent of 37% of the motor cars flying in the US roads are from Japanese origin. So there is no question of innovation is required or excellence is required. The point is that innovation comes out of the leadership. Sony had a leadership at some point in time, but they are losing their leadership in certain areas. Nokia had a leadership at some point in time. So it's a question of a company's choice to become the leader and innovate their products. So it's extremely difficult to say whether it can be reproduced in the form of a process. And once you have got innovation, does it mean that you can sustain it? No, that's where the process is coming. So process becomes a means for achieving your objective. There is no question of my right eye is important or my left eye is important.